The Philippines finds itself in hot waters, or at least in literal waters. Manila has been hosting American boots, missile launchers and naval bases, and now it is paying the price of getting trapped between two superpowers.
If there is a war over Taiwan, we will be drawn, kicking and screaming. We will be drawn and dragged into that mess.
Do whatever you need to do, but you're dealing with China wouldn't bother me at all.
We urge the Philippines to stop stoking tensions or shifting blame on maritime issues in concert with other countries.
This week, Filipino President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. made one statement that could be a misunderstanding, but it's definitely started a confrontation. How did the Filipino president push his country into China's crosshairs? Are US defense deals protecting Manila or trapping it? Can a nation balance two superpowers without sinking? I'm Ananya Dutta, and this is Grey Zone. Let's understand the geography of this place. The southernmost point of Taiwan and the northernmost tip of the Philippines are just 100 kilometers apart. Two of the major cities can be easily covered with a 40-minute flight. So proximity has complicated the situation. If something happens to Taiwan, inevitably the Philippines will be involved, and that is exactly what the Filipino president said recently. Marcos said his country will be quote-unquote kicking and screaming into any war over Taiwan, and he's not the only one. Unlike most things in the Philippines, their politicians and military agree on this. Just this April, its military chief said, and I'm quoting from it, "If something happens to Taiwan, inevitably we will be involved. There are 250,000 Filipino overseas workers in Taiwan, and we will have to rescue them. As members of the armed forces of the Philippines, we should have that mentality that we are already at war." China was quick to react to the president's comment. It said Manila was playing with fire, and Marcos even tried to backtrack, saying his comments were misinterpreted. But the damage was done, and in this area, often a diplomatic standoff is followed by a standoff at the sea. And that's exactly what happened. This video is from yesterday. A Philippine patrol vessel was escorting boats helping out its fishermen in the Scarborough Shoal, which is a disputed area. Soon after, a Chinese Navy ship tried to chase it away. And out of the blue, another Chinese ship, a Coast Guard vessel this time, joined the confrontation and attempted to block the enemy vessel, but unexpectedly collided with its friendly ship. This is part of a series of such confrontations at sea, where Beijing and Manila have been passing the buck to one another. Washington has made it clear that its foreign policy is now focusing towards the Indo-Pacific, and its main focus is going to counter China. For this to be possible, the US needs long-term partnerships with smaller countries in the region, like the Philippines, and the defense pacts between the two show this sentiment. First is MDT. It is a 1951 mutual defense treaty which requires either party to come to the other's aid in case of any attack. Experts say the MDT only applies when a member of the treaty is attacked. And Taiwan is not a party to the MDT. So technically, neither the US nor the Philippines can invoke the MDT in case China invades Taiwan. Second is the VFA, Visiting Forces Agreement, signed in 1999. It oversees the US military personnel visiting the Philippines for exercises and collaborations. Third is the latest one, Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement. It allows US forces rotational access to bases that currently have missile launchers, drone technology, and American boots.
This is actually the United States is assisting the Philippines in what we call our self-reliance defense program, which is to allow us to be self-reliant and to be able to stand our own 2 feet, whatever the circumstances that occur in the future. And that the reason that we have encouraged more interaction with the United States is because it is necessary.
While Marcos says the defense programs are important for self-reliance, it's a no-brainer that the US benefits from this much more.
We're now experiencing the colonial relationship of the US to the Philippines, and this proves that our economic programs and development is unreal because of the huge and deep dependence on the priority of the superpower United States.
Honestly, the Philippines has been confusing the world. Its close ties with the US and China are dependent on who sits in Manila. Right now, you are seeing a president, Marcos Jr., visiting the White House and making anti-China comments. But just 3 years ago, when Rodrigo Duterte was at the helm of power, he declared a quote-unquote separation from the US. So Chinese investments surged, encroachments in the South China Sea did not make it to national headlines, and Duterte himself visited Beijing 5 times during his tenure. This kind of seesaw between the world's two most superpowers can bring repercussions to any country, more so to one that sits in the Indo-Pacific. People on the street seem to grasp this tension.
Our sovereignty here in the Philippines should be strong, and we should not allow to be exposed the influence of the two clashing superpowers America and China aiming dominance.
In the great game of the Indo-Pacific, the Philippines has become a cautionary tale. By swinging between the two rival giants and outsourcing its security, it has trapped itself in a cycle of confrontation. And for the rest of the world watching, Manila is offering a live demonstration of how not to build your foreign policy in a region that is destined to shape the future of geopolitics. I'm Ananya Dutta. Thanks for watching Grey Zone.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest newsmakers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry guards.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Deep dive into burning issues.
It's often said DRC could be the richest country in the whole world. It's because of what sits underneath.
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.